Hello, stamping friends, and welcome to Linda's Stamping Escape. It is Tuesday, the 17th of March. Happy St. Patrick's Day. So excited to be stamping with you tonight. As you can see, the color in the house tonight is green. Don't forget to say hello when you pop on in and be like Karen. She said hello. So welcome everybody. There's Barb. And we have a fun fold tonight, a pop-up Z fold. So that should be fun. And it'll have a little bit of luck in there. So hi, Deborah. Welcome, ladies. All right. I think we are going to get started. In the catalog that is current right now, Reason to Celebrate is one of our stamp sets, and I am loving this one because it has so many different things in it. My fingers are crossed. I think this one is still going to transfer over into the next catalog. So anniversaries, special days, graduation, St. Patty's Day, of course, and Valentine's Day. We got birthdays and Easters in there as well. So that's pretty cool. This is what I'm going to be working with tonight. So we have Sandy and Carrie and Tony who have joined us. Welcome, ladies, and thank you. All right. I'm just going to move this off to the side, and I am going to start with dimensions. Here is our card base. And of course, it's in shaded spruce. And oh gosh, that's hard to see, isn't it? Let me see if this works a little better. So it is 8.5 by 5.5. And then you are going to score it. That isn't much better, is it? Oh, wow. That's really, really crazy. I guess I won't be using hot pink anymore. So anyways, my score is 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So that is our 8.5 by 5.5 inch card base. If I tip it, you can see it a little bit. Okay. And then we have 2 panels here. And those panels, I'm going to do a matte and a piece on top. So my panel 1 and 2, they're both the same size. So the matte, which is Granny Apple Green, and that's the 2-sided cardstock that I'm working with. That's 5 1/4 by 7. I'm sorry, by 1 7/8. I'm trying to get this so you guys can see this. Is that better? That's a little better. Okay. And then layering on top of that will be an embossed piece. And I am embossing the with the Paradise Garden Hybrid Embossing Folder. And we're using the Garden Textures foil sheets in shaded spruce. So that is 5 by 1 5/8. Hi, Elaine, you phoned us twice in a row. Yay! Okay, so that is panels 1 and 2. So I'll put that down. And then on the inside of our card, actually the last panel, the big one here, the right panel is the 4 1/4. Oh my gosh, you guys. 5 1/4 by 4. Aren't you glad I'm holding these up because my lips are not telling you what my paper says? Okay, and then I'm creating the pop-up, which is 3 inches by 2 1/4. And then we are going to score at 3/4, 1 1/2, and then 2 1/4. So that is for the third panel. And then when we get to the pop-ups and stuff in the front, I'll bring out more. So let's kind of just put this together. put these over here for now, and we'll get our card base working. So we're just going to fold this in half like you would any other A2 size card, right? Then we're going to burnish, and then we're going to flip panel 1 back. So again, this is a Z fold, but we are going to pop this one up. So much fun with these. I love Z folds because there is so much you can do with those. I am laying those flat. I'm going to pull this out because we're going to work with our 2 panels here. And the 2-sided cardstock is not as thick as our regular, but it does have a little substance to it. So that's kind of nice. And then our Garden Textures foil sheets. Oh my gosh, you guys. If you love royal colors, this should be on your list. And they will probably go out with the catalog. I'm not sure yet. Hello, Vicki. See the two-tone? I'm using the bright side. But yeah, these are gorgeous. These are going to be pretty for holidays, almost anything you want. But I always was in the jewel tones, so this just really trips my trigger, so to speak. Yikes. I'm going to trim this off just the hair because it looks a little bit longer than what I want. There we go. I like a nice border all the way around. There we go. Just going to flip that over and push it down. And Vicki and Peggy have joined us. Welcome, ladies. So again, you can see the difference between the dark side and the light side of that two-tone paper. Okay, let's bring our base back in because panel 1 and 2 are going on now. And I know most of you have already made Z-fold cards, but this one with the pop-up is just so cool. Get that in there. Look at those 3 shades of green for St. Patty's Day. Oops, I'm sorry. We're not supposed to say that. Somebody said on Facebook it's called St. Patrick's Day. So I will correct myself. And St. Patrick's Day it is. Okay. Just going to give this a little. There we go. We are going to put our paper on here. Karen says the granny apple green is a whole different vibe. It is a bit, but when you see the whole card put together, it will kind of make sense. And it's St. Patty's Day, so there are many shades of green. Hello, Sharon. Okay, so now we have our card fully decked out. And this is how it will look when it's folded, almost. I'll have to add more, but we're going to work with a couple other layers. So let's get this out. This is going to be the front of our card. We bring this up and get that out of that heavy light source there so you guys can see it again. So the front is the shaded spruce matte, which is 4 inches by 2 3/4. And then the white piece is 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. And I embossed it with the exposed brick. And then I just have a piece of scrap there for our greeting. So we're going to bring that out. And then for the inside of the card, we're going to have that granny apple green back in there. And that's going to mat our inside. And granny apple is 4 1/4 by 3 inches. And then our white is 4 by 2 3/4. So I am not going to put this in till later. So we're just going to set that off to the side. Okay, and we're going to set these up there with it. And we are going to get out our little piece that's going to pop this up. So before I said our little pop-up was, where did I go with that? Is 3 inches by 2 1/4. And then we score at 3/4, a half, and 2 1/4. So every 3/4. So we're going to bring this together from the outside. So we're going to bring the outsides in. Okay. And we're going to burnish this so it lays nice and flat. And then we are going to put our adhesive on these 2 flaps we just folded over. This is such an easy pop-up. Now we're going to take this and we're going to line this up with our score line right here in the center of our card. So you also have a score line here, so it's quite easy to line up. Much easier when the light isn't so bright. I have to tone that one down a bit. Okay, so there we go. We're going to get that. And then when we close this, see how that pops up? Nice pop-up. We're going to close that. Make sure our pop-up stays nice. Burnish that a little bit more. Guys are quiet again today. So there's our little pop-up. Isn't it cool? Okay. So I like to do this piece first because that will help me align the front of my card. Now to do this, we're going to leave the right side no adhesive and just put adhesive on the left side of that score line there. And then I'm going to take this, just line that up. I like to make sure I have a nice piece around there. Okay. And then that'll open and you will have just a little bit of green around there. Okay. Now let's make the front of our card. Let's get over to that. So we're going to bring this back in here and simply attach the white to the shaded spruce. Right, and then we're going to grab our sentiment from the Reason to Celebrate stamp set. Just open up our ink pad here. And let's grab that paper. Get this down here. And I like to start on my edges and work my way back and forth. And a lot of times we stamp in the middle of the pad, so the ink has a tendency to push out to the edges. So you probably have a lot more ink on those edges than you even realize. Okay. So I want that nice and juicy. Hi, Jane. He says, Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you. I'm going to get my little pad in here. I'm going to go one more time. Make sure it's nice and juicy. And then we are going to stamp right there. Hold that on so that soaks up a little bit. Look at that, gorgeous. If you don't have this impressions pad, it's actually, I shouldn't call it that because there is an impression pad coming in the new catalog. It is a, gosh, it used to be a technique we did all the time. Not so much anymore. Come on, Vicky, help me out here. It's a little with our little pokies we use. Okay, so now we got our happy St. Patrick's Day. So we are going to cut this up a little bit. As you can see here, our front is a little smaller. So we're going to cut that. Paper piercing pad. That's what it is. I knew it would come to me sooner or later. Just glad it did now and not at about midnight tonight. I'm just going to cut up here, over there. I'm going to kind of scroll around this now. Just a little indent there, just to give it a little texture and add a little fun to it. Come down again. Back up. This one's pretty easy to go around. Out and down. And I'm just going to snip that little edge off there just for fun. And then I'm going to take this and I am going to cut this right down there. Also going to trim my edges just a bit. There we go. Just a little added fun there. I'm just going to leave the happy pretty much the way it is, except I'm going to trim it a little straighter. I didn't cut that one very straight. Let's get this off of here. Looks like I have to clean that off. Okay, that looks good. Push this off of here. Okay, now I wanted to add that pretty garden texture foil sheets back in. So using the where did I get these from? Cut the little hearts from the Just a Notes die. Okay. And then this little guy, you can just cut from punches or whatever you can find. So I'm just going to add a little adhesive here. I'm going to start with my center one, which is going to be off center, mind you. And grab our adhesive dots here. Add these on. I love these. They have a smaller heart in the Just the Notes dies as well, but I really like the one with the little top on there. Because it's going to bring so much more color in. Okay. Looking for some dimensional. Must have took them all downstairs. Looking forward to the day where I have everything in one spot. That would be nice. Okay, so I'm going to add some adhesive here. And I'm just going to add my little shamrock there. I'm not sure if I want to trim this off or not. I will. We will. Just a little bit. And we'll put our little happy up here. Jane says she likes that little top part too. Elaine wants to know why I stamp on that paper piercing pad. Because when you're stamping with the photopolymers, it just gives it a little more push that you don't have, like when you have your rubber stamps, you know, there's that foam in there. So I just use this as a foam and it just gives it a little more cushion. I find a lot of times when I stamp and I don't have this, it turns out just as well, but it does add a nice little look to this. So it's just personal preference, I guess. Some people like the way it works better. I'm going to give these two, I'm going to layer these, And that on top of my embossing here will help pop it up a little bit more since I don't have my, what do you call it up here? And this, and then we'll get that little day added to our Happy St. Patrick's. Okay, we're just going to tilt that this way, just a little bit. So that is our cute little front. Got that all ready, and I just love the way that works. So easy. You don't have to buy a special set with shamrocks unless you're really into St. Patrick's Day. So this is just fun. And I'm not going to put this on yet because now I'm just going to have a little bit of fun with that front part here. And get my ink pad. I already put that away. So, happy St. Patrick's Day is Lucky Day. And then we're going to have a little fun with this. And I took some of the gold foil paper and I embossed it both ways. So it indents and pops up with that exposed brick as well. And I'm going to make 2 big ones. That's a 1 inch, and this is 3/4. These are, oh my gosh, I can't get this one open now. What happens when you get arthritis? Let's see. There we go. Much better. We're going to get 3 of these. They're kind of like pirate coins with that fun shape. Oh, I lost one. He went rolling, so we'll flip another one up there. There we go. So let's get some coins on here. Have a little fun with that. Get one here. And it doesn't matter where you put them, actually. You're just adding a little fun to your card. I'm going to slide one under there. We're going to put one on top here. Let's layer these a little more. And again, if you had your dimensionals handy, you could put those in there. Elaine says she's still new to this. Aww. What do you mean about embossing both ways? Okay. Our embossing folders, most of the time, like in a class or something, I will tell you to emboss with the, let's just say this is your embossing folder. Stampin' Up's logo is always on that top. And when you do that, it gives you impressions that pop up. If you flip that folder upside down, your impressions will dip in. So this one, I did it both ways. So I have spots that pop up and spots that dip in. So it's got a lot of extra texture on there. So again, just for fun. All right, now we're going to take this and I'm going to lay this down. And you can actually put any type of greeting you want in here. Now, once you get that gold in there, you can see why that green kind of goes with it. So I got a little sticking out there, but you know what? You're not going to see that because what we're going to do here is place this over the top. And you can line it up so there is no white showing, or you can pull it back so there's just a little white showing. How you place this is all preference. But when I do the inside first, which I always do, it helps me align the front. So you can get it either to match up that way or, leave a little space there to do the white if you like that. So it's just going to get it. It's a lot easier for me to do the center one first, then you have this on and then trying to align this on your little pop-up part, if that makes sense. So let's add a little adhesive to this side. So when I get a little juicy with my adhesive here, you can also use your glue. That works nice. And I'm going to put this so that just the green, and I'm actually going to do it this way so I can see. Just my green sticks out. Push that down. And then I've got some cute little embellishments here in gold. So that's going to bring your front and your inside all together. So we're going to put a little gold up in here. And that gold helps offset that bright green. Let's do 3 different sizes here. One there. Let's do one down here. Put that by that St. Patrick's Day. Get that there. And then we'll do the little one, itty bitty. There we go. Up here by our happy. That will draw your eye all around your card. It helps the colors all blend better together with the gold in there. It really makes the green pop. And Jane said the green is so shiny. Yes, this one is. This is the Garden Textures oil sheets. So, and this is part of the Paradise Garden Poetry Suite. So cute though. Little shenanigans with the, see, now you got your coins down there, you got your gold up there. So fun, cute little card. And who doesn't love a pop-up? So you got nice layers up there. And just a little tomfoolery and shenanigans for St. Patrick's Day. So thank you all so much for coming. And just remember, this pop-up card can be any holiday, birthday, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be St. Patrick's Day. And you can add the extra layers or not. If my retreat ladies remember, this is the layout I used for their card. So this was our birthday card with a little cheers. So you can use anything for this fun layout. So hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And I'll be back with a little spin to win later to see who gets some goodies tonight. So have yourself a wonderful evening and we'll talk soon. Have a nice night. Thank you.